I already recorded this entire video once, but the audio didn't record for whatever reason. And I'm a big audio nerd, I have a fancy microphone and blah blah blah, didn't record, I hate my life. But last time, I didn't have a cat, because she was asleep. And now I do have a cat, so every cloud, cat's gone. June is here! June is a very exciting month in the world of publishing and books coming out, because a bunch of my most anticipated books, cat hair, of this year are coming out in June. My most anticipated novel of the entire year is coming out in June in a few days' time. I'm about to read it, I'm very excited, as are a bunch of other fantastic books. So, let's dig in. I have 9 books to talk about, 9 books that are coming out in June, except that's kind of a lie, because the first one that I'm going to talk about actually just came out at the end of May, but we received a review copy on the very day that it came out, and this is also one of the 2 books I'm going to talk about that are not in translation. The other 7 are all translated literature. This is Absorbed. It is the debut novel by Kylie Whitehead, a Welsh author who lives in London. We didn't ask for this book, it just appeared on our doorstep, and when that happens, it's either really annoying or really exciting and a pleasant surprise. This is a pleasant... I tried to hit the book and I missed. This is a This is a pleasant surprise. It's a pleasant surprise because it sounds fantastic. When I started reading the blurb, I was like, ugh, this sounds boring. And by the end of the blurb, I was like, ooh, this sounds great. Reason being, when the blurb starts, it describes a dull life of a woman in a relationship who's boring. And I was like, oh, okay, relationship, don't care, whatever. And then suddenly she absorbs her boyfriend. Like, she actually absorbs him. It's called Absorbed. She absorbs him. I think it's literal. I'm not sure, I haven't read it yet. I hope to read it sometime this month and talk about it further. But I'm guessing the idea is that this girl has always played second fiddle to her boyfriend, and perhaps it's some sort of allegory and metaphor for the patriarchal system that we live in, where women often play second fiddle. I'm sure you've read Simone de Beauvoir. The idea that sometimes you feel like a wife or a girlfriend or a mother, etc., and a lack of personal identity. I'm guessing that's probably where it's coming from, and I hope, because that sounds great. And so she literally absorbs her boyfriend? I don't know, we'll see where it goes. I'm quite excited about it, just on that premise alone. The first book that I have to talk about that is a piece of translated literature is a book that, as you can see, I am currently reading and I've nearly finished it, and this will be my next video. I'm going to do a review of this novel. This is The Woman in the Purple Skirt. It's written by Natsuko Imamura and it is translated by Lucy North. This is a really good book. It's been on my radar for a while. I think I heard about it probably about a year ago. We got a review copy, yay. I've nearly finished it, and it's really trippy and paranoia-inducing. I'm sure in a recent video I mentioned this song, and I'm gonna mention it again. I don't know whether or not you're familiar with Tom Waits and his song What's He Building, which is just a spoken narrative from the point of view of this really paranoid guy watching his neighbor and developing this interior monologue about what the neighbor is up to. It's a really clever song, it's one of my favorites, I love it. When I first heard it, I couldn't sleep because it's so damn creepy. But this book really reminds me of that song. It's narrated by a woman who is just called the woman in the yellow cardigan, and she watches a girl in her neighborhood called the woman in the purple skirt. The woman in the purple skirt is really our protagonist, but the narrator of the book is a real person. She takes on this omniscient third-person narrator role, the kind of traditional narrator role, but she also is a real person. But throughout the book, she doesn't exist in any kind of tangible way. She doesn't interact with other people. You get the feeling that she's a ghost or something. She's obsessed with the woman in the purple skirt. She watches her, she observes her, and she's desperate to be her friend, and she passively does things to make sure the woman in the purple skirt ends up working at the same hotel that she works at. And then we just kind of watch the woman in the purple skirt's life for a few days. I won't tell you any more, and I haven't quite finished it. I'm about 50 pages from the end, but I will do a proper review of it soon. It is, as I said, paranoia-inducing. It's creepy. It's very, very simple and stripped down and stripped bare. It's a very quick read, and so far I really, really like it. Come here. No? You don't want to? Alright. I'm going to talk about my most anticipated book of the year. Do you want to be part of it or not? I guess she'll just meow from behind the camera. This is a big one. This is the big one. This is it. This, for me, is my most anticipated novel of the entire year, and it's finally nearly here. I actually think this has just come out in the US and is coming out in the UK on, I think, the 10th of June. My favourite novel of 2020 was Breasts and Eggs by Miyako Kawakami, translated by Sam Bett and David Boyd, and now we have another Miyako Kawakami novel, published by the same publisher, Picador, translated by the same two translators, Sam Bett and David Boyd. Heaven is Here. Breasts and Eggs was a pretty chunky book because it was actually a novel and its sequel smushed together. Heaven is a much thinner creature, and it is about bullying. It is about two people in a school who are both being bullied and find each other. That's all I know about it. I haven't read it yet. I will be doing a full video on this book as soon as I've read it, around release date. Sorry, Bimini, I keep hurting you. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this. Miyako Kawakami, I think, has become my favorite Japanese novelist. She's beaten out Hiromi Kawakami, Yoko Ogawa, Banana Yoshimoto, Sayaka Murata. She's pushed all of them aside, and I think she's now my favorite Japanese novelist. Ms. I Sandwich was a novella of hers that I loved, published by Pushkin Press, and Breasts and Eggs, as I said, was my favourite book of last year. Will this be my favourite book of this year? I don't know, but I feel like it might be just because of my bias. Blah, blah, blah. I love Kawakami, and I can't wait to read this, and I hope you're as excited as I am. This was a big surprise. I love Taiwan. The first two videos I ever made on this channel were travel videos of us in Taipei and Taichung, and I love Taiwan to pieces. It is one of my favourite countries. I've got a video and an article about some of my favourite Taiwanese novels in translation and books about Taiwan. I really do love Taiwan to pieces. It's such a cool country. And suddenly, from Columbia University Press, all the way from New York, through our door, was this, The Membranes. This is by Taiwanese author Chi Ta-wei, and it is a queer piece of speculative science fiction. I've been reading a lot of queer books lately, I've been reading a lot of science fiction lately, and I love Taiwan. And this has it all. It's translated by Ari Larissa Heinrich, who is a translator that I have never heard of until this moment, so that's pretty exciting as well. Columbia University Press put out some really great books, and if you can get a copy of one of their books, please do so. If you're in the UK, it's a little bit harder because of importing, blah, 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 and I don't think this book has a UK publisher, but if you can get a hold of it, it's probably going to be worth your time. All I know about it is that it's Taiwanese, queer, science fiction, and that it was originally published in the 90s, and now we finally have it in translation, and I could not have been more pleasantly surprised when this suddenly appeared. I also can't get a good picture of it because it's so shiny. China in One Village. This is a piece of non-fiction. It is kind of biographical, journalistic non-fiction. It's written by Liang Hong and apparently was a very, very big deal in China. It became a national bestseller in China and it raised a lot of discussion, and now we have it in English thanks to Verso Books. It's translated by Emily Goethe? I'm not sure. It looks like a Welsh name. I'm not sure. I'm just going to put it here. Gerda, Goethe, I'm not sure. Anyway, cool name, Emily. She's a translator that I've never come across before, so that's always exciting. I love finding new translators to read. And this is a book that explores the journey of transformation that China has gone through over the last few decades. I love non-fiction books on China. I've read so many biographies and history books and social commentaries about China. I used to live in Shanghai. I love China to pieces. I find it infinitely fascinating. As a country, as a culture, especially modern China, what it has gone through. It is such an intensely fascinating place, and this explores the effects of the socio-economic transformation and political transformation of China over the last few decades and how it has impacted one rural village. And that rural village becomes kind of a metaphor for how it has changed across the country, I guess. And that's really exciting to me. We always focus on the big cities. I lived in a big city. And going out to the small provinces and the small towns, it is an entirely unique world. And this is something I cannot wait to read. Another piece of non-fiction that I can't wait to read is Shiori Ito's Black Box. This is translated by Alison Markin Powell and published in the UK by Tilted Axis Press. I was going to pick up the US copy of this as soon as I knew that it was coming in translation. I'd already heard about it in Japan, I'd already heard about it from friends, and I needed a copy. And then I was so thrilled and pleasantly surprised to find out that the UK edition was being published by Tilted Axis Press, one of my favourite indie publishers. If you don't know what it is, I have a feeling a few of you probably do already know what this is because it's a really big deal. Shiori Ito is a journalist and author who was sexually assaulted. And she wrote down her experiences into this book, which became kind of a spark for Japan's Me Too movement. I really don't know how to talk about it other than that. This is a book that is exposing systemic sexism and patriarchal issues. All of the issues with patriarchy that we already know about, that we already scream about, that keeps us up at night and makes us feel furious all day, every day. This is about that. This is one woman's, one journalist's experience of being sexually assaulted and ignored. And we finally have it in translation. This is exposing the systemic sexism within Japan and obviously across the entire globe. While sexism on an industrial level, I guess, is a big problem in Japan, it's a big problem everywhere. And we finally have a book from Japan that's talking about it. I can't tell you what a big deal this is, and it's going to be a difficult read, but it's going to be a worthwhile and important one too. And it's published by Tilted Axis, and it's translated by one of the most awesome Japanese to English translators, so this is an exciting one. Alright, I have 3 books left, and 2 of them are in translation, but I really cannot resist talking about this for a second. This is Sterling Carat Gold, and it is written by Isabel Weidner. It's not in translation, but Isabel Weidner is a German writer based in the UK, I think in London, I'm not sure. And I loved their book, We Are Made of Diamond Stuff. I've talked about We Are Made of Diamond Stuff before in articles. You can go find information about it on our website. I recently put it into an article on LGBTQ books from around the world because We Are Made of Diamond Stuff was a tiny little 100-page book published by a Dostoevsky wannabe, and it's about classism, it's about queerness, it's about class disparity, migration, Brexit. It is a very political book, and it is unique in its observation of those different aspects of the political system. Queerness, migration, class system, etc., all rolled into one, set in a strange hotel on the Isle of Wight. I loved it. I really adored We Are Made of Diamond Stuff, and Isabel Weidner is a very exciting author. And Sterling Carat Gold is a retelling of Kafka's The Trial. That's all I know about it. It's Kafka's The Trial for the modern day, and I am a massive, massive Franz Kafka fan. I'm the biggest Franz Kafka fan that I know, and I also know that a lot of people hate Kafka, can't stand Kafka, don't understand Kafka, don't want to understand Kafka. Makes me sound arrogant, I'm sorry, maybe I'm having an arrogant day, but I love Kafka. I find his work so horribly funny. The bleakness and misery of it is hysterical. I love Kafka, I really do, and I'm thrilled that Sterling Carat Gold has popped along. You've got a non-binary author who wrote one of my favourite books of 2019, who has written a modern retelling of Kafka's The Trial. I really could not ask for more. 2 more books to talk about. This is Grown Ups. I really don't know much about this. It's written by Marie Albert, and it's published by Pushkin Press. Pushkin Press, as far as I know, from everything I've read, have never, ever published a bad book. Every book that I've ever read published by Pushkin is at least good, if not great. This is a Norwegian book, and it's translated by Rosie Hedger. We've actually interviewed Rosie Hedger for our website quite a while ago now. She's an awesome Norwegian to English translator, and I really love what she does. She is a powerful translator, if that's a word that I can use. And I just did. I don't know anything about Grown Ups except those facts. The author, the translator, the publisher, and the fact that it's Norwegian, and that it is some sort of family drama. It's a very slender book, and so I'm hoping to get to it this month so I can talk about it, and I really need to do a video dedicated to Pushkin and the cool stuff that they put out, so I'll do that soon. And finally, this is a book that I've done a lot of research about, and I still don't know anything about it because it is that surreal and strange. This is Yesterday by Juan Aymar. It's translated from Spanish by Megan McDowell, but it's actually a Chilean novel, and I'm pretty sure that that means that this is the first non-European book that Peyrine Press have ever put out. This publisher is famous for putting out books from mainland Europe in translation. I don't think they've ever published anything from Latin America before, and obviously it's Spanish is a European language, but it is a Chilean novel, and this is really cool. I love Chilean literature, I love Latin American literature, I talk about it a lot, and this is a little tiny, slender, strange, surrealist story about a couple who go on a strange, magical, impossible journey over the course of 24 hours and see some really weird stuff. That's all I know about it. It's supposed to be very intense Alice in Wonderland surrealism, and I can't wait to read it. But I can't tell you anything more but if you love Latin American fiction as much as I do, you're gonna want to pay attention, and Paygreen Press always put out cool stuff with really nice covers. Alright, that's it. Those are 9 books that are coming out in June that I'm very excited about. 2 of them are my most anticipated books of the year, and one of those 2 is my absolute number 1 most anticipated book of this year, Heaven by Mieko Kawakami. Oh man, I'm telling you to go out and get it now, and I haven't even read it myself, but I can't wait to talk about it and do a video on it. Oh, June is a great month just for that book alone. And then you've got more Japanese books and a Chinese book and a Chilean book, and oh, it's great, it's great, it's a good... Oh, and Isabel Weidner has a new book out. This is a really cool month. I'm thrilled. Good stuff, good month. All right, go enjoy the sunshine if you have any. I do, so I'm going to go enjoy it. And I'm also going to go get my first COVID jab. Yay me, and I'll see you on the other side. Subscribe for books. Cat's asleep. Good.